Hello and welcome back to the shop. Let's see what's going on this week. Okay, we got an upgrade for the laser engraver. This is an enclosure which also includes a fan and an outlet port. There's our hose and the actual port, and then the fan that will draw the fumes out of this enclosure. There's a little envelope in here from X-Tool. These must be the instructions on how to assemble this thing. All right, cool. So anyway, this is a folding one, and then there's gonna be some kind of frame in here. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's satisfying. This is obviously the lid, because that's our viewing window right there. And once again, X-Tool with the fantastic presentation of packaging. They are just really good at that. So these are the sides. Yep, these are the sides. It's vented, so if you can see that. All right, let's assemble the thing. If you're watching this video, you're probably like, hey dummy, it's on backwards. And you know what? You're right. It is on backwards. And yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, look. I'm happy to admit that I was wrong. And I am working to make it right. All right, now we can actually do these snaps. Good grief. And that, I guess, just gives it a way to stop from falling open. All right, I'm gonna turn this around so you can get a good view of it now. So you have an idea. So this flops down like that. And I'm not sure, there might be magnets in there. Maybe some rare earth magnets. Something like that. But there we go. There is the X-Tool enclosure. This is designed for the D1 Pro and the various iterations of that. So let's pop it into place. Wow. When they say that it is designed to fit, they mean it. So if we lift the lid, you can see it is pretty tight all around. You can see it's got that vent down there, of course, for the heat dissipation, and then the fan is over there. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna have to move this back over because that vent hose has to vent air out. Okay, so it's plugged in. It came with a little like socket plug and then like a round pin connector that went into the fan. It seems like it's always on. I don't think it cycles, or I don't think it like detects fumes. It's just on. So I guess I'm gonna have to unplug it when I'm not running it. The last thing to do is to connect the exhaust port. And this is essentially a dryer vent. And it comes with 2 of these clamps. Oh, and for you eagle eyes out there that notice something different, I did add a waffle tray to the engraver. And essentially this just helps to protect the benchtop surface. It has a metal plate underneath it. So I guess the heat dissipates through the blades of the tray, and the fumes are, I guess, transferred a little bit easier away from the laser itself. That is my non-scientific explanation anyway. This is a panel for a project that I'm currently working on. So this will be, I think, I don't know, one of the sides. Yeah, one of the walls, I think. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to engrave the logo on this guy somewhere on the panel, and that'll just be a cool little way of tagging this. So we'll try and get this loaded in here and engrave. All right, she's done. We'll just ease this back. Easy does it. And there we go. Perfectly cut. This is a dado stack. Well, actually, there's nothing in here. This is empty. This is a dado stack. Currently set at 3/4 of an inch, and been ripping some dados, and I will show you what that's looking like. All right, been working on this project off and on for a couple weeks now, and we're actually nearing the stage where I start to put things together. And I wanted to try some construction methods that I don't typically use, which means not dowels. So if you come in close, you can see I've got some dados in here that I've cut. And here, of course, this is the top. This is actually the back panel. And then down at the bottom, I've actually just got, in the bottom piece, I've got rabbets on both sides that the walls themselves will sit down in. I will glue and actually countersink screws in through the bottom. You know, why not? Nobody's ever gonna see it. In the top, I suspect that the glue surface across the whole length of this is going to be sufficient to hold it together. Although time will tell. Now inside the cabinet space here, you see I've struck a line across and there's an X. Of course, the X just tells me that the groove is going to be this side of the line as opposed to that side. And I've got a corresponding line over on this wall here. That's going to be for a shelf, and I've got a piece of cabinet grade oak plywood that was salvaged from an old desk, and I'm going to cut a panel for a shelf, and then I'm going to dado out a groove on each side and cut my shelf piece from that plywood to fit in that groove. So of course, here's the front, and if you're eagle-eyed, you'll notice that I did through dados all the way across because, well, I wasn't sure how I could safely do it. I don't have the skill set yet dealing with a dado stack. So I'm going to cut down some of this excess oak stock I have here, and I'm going to just plug the hole and just cut it down to size, sand it flush. When it comes to assembly time, before I do that, I'm actually going to do a bottom chamfer anyway, so it may disguise the fact that it's plugged, but even if it doesn't, I'll just say that I did it as a design element. Isn't that what I always do? All right, and let's talk about this briefly. This is the 5th coat. It's fully cured. Technically, I could stop right here. I mean, the finish looks fantastic. I don't really think it needs any buffing at this point, which is pretty typical when you do 5 thin coats. It just does a good job of building up a nice smooth surface. And in case you wanted to see the lid, here it is. Solid mahogany. Looking absolutely magnificent. All right, let's take a look at this dado blade. First of all, of course, I'm going to unplug the table saw. The table saw is unplugged. So, this throat plate here came with the table saw. Grizzly included this because, well, they assume that if you got a 5 horsepower table saw, at some point you do plan to use a dado stack. And hey, they were right. All right, so this set from Freud comes with 2 outside blades. And so basically, they'll have the printing reversed on the other one. That way the printing, you know, is supposed to go on the outside. And it tells you the rotation. Of course, you can look at those inserts right there. That's all, I believe it's carbide, who knows. So anyway, you get one of those. So the instructions tell you for a 3/4 inch plywood, you need 4 of the 1/8 inch chippers. And so that is a chipper. And of course on this set, which is the SD508, they are 4 teeth per chipper. I believe on the 208, SD208, they only have 2 teeth per chipper. And the instructions, and I'm going to show those to you in just a moment, comes on a nice poster to put on the wall, which I actually did. I put it on the back side of the door. The important thing with these are to make sure that the teeth of the blade and the chipper do not interact with each other. And keep them separate. And then there's the second blade. So these have to go on the outsides. So this piece of walnut that I ran through, those outside blades define that 90-degree angle in the channel. The chippers simply keep that channel flat bottomed. That's their job. So it comes in this nice case, and they give you these plastic spacers here. And then for certain applications, you will need shims. And these shims have been etched with their thickness. And so if you have to sneak up to a fit for something that's not exactly 3/4 of an inch, they recommend you remove one of the chippers and add a bunch of shims, or use one of the smaller chippers. Like for instance this, which this is like a 1/16 of an inch, or even smaller than a 1/16 of an inch. I'm not exactly sure. But there's plenty of options in here for all kinds of fits. Okay, so here is the poster that they provide with the dado stack, and I just have a blue tape to the back of the entry door here. And so up here they've got the 600 series, which I guess is their top of the line, but we've got the SD 500 series here. So basically down here they've got your dado widths, and in red they've got common widths that people will often use to cut. So you got 1/4, 3/8, 1/2 inch, 5/8, 3/4, and 7/8. And so I just did a bunch of 3/4. So of course it's telling you right here, you need your inside and outside blades. It does not need the 1/16 or the 3/32 chipper. It only asks for 4 of the 1/8 inch chippers. And down here, it'll tell these are the shims here. So you got 0.02, 0.012, 0.008, 0.004. And so if you go back to the 3/4, it's got dashes on all that. You don't need any of those. So it's literally the inside blade, and then you alternate your chippers in this fashion here. You don't want those teeth interacting, of course. So they'll just be alternating. And then on the outside, you put your other blade. And then you just tighten it down like normal, and you'll get 3/4 inch dados. So it is a late evening here in the shop, doing some last minute bits and bobs on this. Thing looks great. And it'll look great going into the guy's van and leaving. Overall, I'm really pleased with the way this thing turned out. The overall look, the details that we decided on. Yeah, I think it's gonna look great in their house, and I can't wait to see it go. But I think that's gonna do it for this video. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.